I'm working on getting some cabinets built, but the process for this is a little bit different than traditional cabinets. Doing it in the van with this kind of topper, because the ceiling just has so many spots that aren't flat or straight. So I had to do some problem solving, and I'm gonna kind of walk you through what I've done up until this point, because it did take a bit for me to kind of figure out what I was gonna be doing. So I have this piece that's running vertically here, and it's gonna get built into what I'm doing with the cabinets and some other like storage space underneath that. So the bed, it runs up until the edge of this board. That's where the support's gonna be. So between that spot and that post is gonna be some other drawers, and I don't really know exactly what I'm gonna do there yet, but basically more cabinet and storage space. So that post is running vertically in relation to the floor rather than the ceiling or the wall or anything. So from the floor up, that is kind of squared. It's a right angle at the base in all directions. So running straight up into the edge of kind of the angled ceiling spot. And then in order to get this piece in here, I had to measure the height of everything under that. And this piece, I kind of lined it up so that it hits the bottom here. So I grabbed that measurement and then cut out a piece to hold it up on this corner, so that that piece is also parallel to the floor. So once I had the length for that piece figured out, I found the distance from where it was going to be sitting to the top, to this support here, and then cut that piece to fit that space, and then measured this piece here to have this sit at a right angle in relation to that piece. So if I look at it from over here, those pieces down there should be squared, and everything should be lined up with this post, so that I can put a face piece on and put a bottom piece on, and a right angle here that matches that bottom piece. I don't know if this is all making sense, but you'll see it as it comes together, and hopefully that'll kind of explain why I did it the way that I'm doing it. So the next thing I need to do is get another piece cut to attach to the top here, because this space on the right side and the space on the left side are not the same height, because this is lined up with the floor rather than the ceiling. So I think it's about 3/4 of an inch different. So I'll get a piece cut to that length, and then get a smaller piece cut, basically a shim, to put in that corner, so that the piece that I put up top is perpendicular with the piece here. So on this end, the spacing is, it's about 12 6/8. It's 11 3/4, which means that's 7/8 different. And then I need to cut another piece to go in between here. 70 5/8. Okay, so I got a long piece cut out, and this is just out of a 2x1, because that doesn't need to have another 2x2 supporting it at the top, because it's not going to be like load bearing or anything. And then I have, this is my what was that, 7/8, to put a little gap in the corner. That way when I secure this piece, it's parallel with this bottom piece. I need to cut two 2x2s at right at 11 inches. With this 2x1 sitting on the 2x2, I made 2 marks that are basically, I just split it into 3 sections, because I want, 3 cabinet doors, I guess. And I'm just marking them both at once, because that's a little bit easier than measuring them separately. So there's my marks. And so I'll just pull the 2x1 off, and then attach the 2x2s that are going to run vertically in here to that 2x1. And then once those are attached, then I'll just put the whole thing up and then screw it in from the bottom. It should work pretty good. There it is, got those on there. And there is, of course, a little bit of wiggle room because of that gap that's there. But once we get a face piece on there before we do the doors, it should hold it all together pretty well. So the next thing I'm gonna do is get some pieces running underneath it, some support pieces so that we're able to put like some plywood on the bottom. So let's measure those out and get those cut. All of them are going to be a different size because where they hit on the wall, that wall is not parallel with this board. So just have to measure them one at a time and then get it screwed in, just kind of like the same way that I did this one in the back. It's kind of screwed into this and that piece, just at an angle. But it's kind of, it's a little unique compared to traditional cabinets, but it'll work out good. I'm gonna use this 2x3 just to make sure these are all parallel with each other. It's starting to take a pretty nice shape. I said I was gonna line them up with these studs, but it made more sense to line it up in the back where I could push it up against these boards. So even though they're not perfectly separated, it's fine. Because it's gonna hold up the weight, no problem. The next thing I need to do is actually get those kind of face pieces cut out, which I'm not gonna do right now, but we'll do that tomorrow. I kept working last night after I thought I was done, but got a few more pieces in here. So got that gap filled, and then got a supporting piece there, and then also filled in that gap there. So I'm ready to cut out the bottom piece. I've already measured the length here, and I know since these corners are square, I could use that and then the corner down there to mark that on my board, which I've already got drawn out. And then I measured the length for this piece and the length at the end, and then just drew a line to connect them because those aren't the same. It's wider at this end. But anyways, you'll see once it comes out that it won't be the same width all the way down. So if I measured right, it should fit right there. These wires are in the way a little bit, but I just have to get them kind of situated. That looks good all the way down. And flush on those boards in the back. The next thing I need to do is fill in these side pieces. So this side and then down at the other end. I think I'm gonna use some paper to trace those out, but it's a short work day. I got some other things I need to take care of. So we will get back to that tomorrow. And I'm back. And I got some stencils made. I used a staple gun to get that on there. Probably should have used tape, but the staple gun was right there and it was convenient, so I used it. And one on the back. So let's get those down and trim them a little bit. Just get off the excess and get those marked on some plywood right there. And I might have to cut them twice. I don't know exactly how this will fit in there because it's got like those wires. But because this is a squared edge, like these corners, as long as that is correct, I'm not too worried about the outside. As long as I make them bigger than they need to be, I can always trim down some. So let's get those drawn out and cut. Those are cut out. Let's get them screwed in. That is looking good. Flush on the front and the bottom. This will actually get a full piece all the way down, but because I'm not sure how I'm gonna build underneath it yet, I'm just putting that one piece in, and it'll get, actually instead of painting over it, I'm gonna do, it's like this type of fabric that they put in like the headliners of like pop tops. Anyways, you'll see it when it's, you know, when I get to it. But those look good, so I need to get some front pieces on now. And rather than cutting one whole piece and then cutting out like windows, I'm just gonna do some trim pieces that cover up those 2x2s. And those will also get like that same fabric that I mentioned. Basically this whole cabinet unit, and then the wood on front will be painted. It won't be fabriced over. So stay tuned for that. But let's get some thin pieces cut, some strips, and get those screwed on. Just making sure those edges are all squared up before I put any screws in it. Those are on there, and got the top screwed in. So I still need to get the outside trim pieces done, so there and then over there. But I mean, same thing, it's just cutting a strip and then screwing it in. So I hate that I run out of daylight so early, because I would like to keep working, but I don't want the videos to not look great. But tomorrow morning I will get the actual cabinet doors cut out and get the hinges on there, and then that'll pretty much be it for the cabinets. Like I mentioned before, I'm gonna do like some carpeting over them and then paint the doors as well, but that'll be later on when I do, you know, the walls and the other. I'll have like a kitchenette and a desk and, you know, some other things that I'm gonna do at the same time. I picked up these hinges from Amazon, and they didn't actually have any like instructions with them, so I was messing around with them last night and got this first one mounted basically just by eyeballing it and like lining up this front piece just past the face of this wood, and then measured like where my screws were sitting and then marked that measurement on this one. So I've got the first two on, and I think they're pretty lined up. So I'm gonna take that same measurement for those screw holes. I can't remember what they are off the top of my head, but I can check that with a tape measure and then draw the same things on these other boards. So it looks like that's sitting, that bottom screw is sitting at 5.5. Put it like right there. So I have that cross mark there, and I'm gonna pre-drill the hole. I'm not worried about the wood cracking because I'll be using small screws. I'm just pre-drilling it so I know the screw is going in right where I want it. These hinges come in 2 packs. So the springs are opposite each other, so you know they're made to have two on each door. Just one mounted on the left side, one mounted on the right side. I'm not gonna make that completely tight yet because I'm gonna line it up with where I want the other hole to be. And they're all on there. They're pretty neat hinges, the way they fold into the wall and then open up. So it'll be neat to see how they look once I actually have the like the cabinet doors on them. I think the total length we're going to be looking at probably 73 inches for the edges of those boards, or of the doors, I mean, cabinet doors. 73 wide, 12.5 tall. I got my piece cut out. I'm gonna grab some clamps to hold it up and then just make some marks like from the brackets directly down, and then I'll have to get some marks on these sides too, and then from the back basically just draw a bunch of lines until I can mark up like where those lines meet. I don't know, we'll figure it out. Okay, so what I was trying to explain was this. So this will be cut into 3 pieces, but this cabinet door, that edge would be right about there. So all these hinges, if this piece is lined up on the side, I should be able to shift it straight up, and like those pieces are going to be sitting in line with that, and then same thing all the way down. So if I make a mark going straight down from those hinges, I should be able to mark it on like the back side to know where those lines need to be. The height of this actually works out perfect because I can just slide this square right in there, and then I can see that it's lined up in the middle of the bracket. Just draw a line just like that. So now I'll be able to trace that line onto the back side of it. Kind of an awkward angle, but for the top hole we're going with 1 5/8, and the bottom hole is 2 7/8. And I can see, let me show you real quick. Luckily this square works really nice because it has an edge on it. So like there's one of my lines there, got some more lines there. So I can just line this square up right on the edge of that, line it up to that line and make the mark down, and then mark the holes for the hinges. So works out pretty easy. I don't actually have to actually draw lines all the way across the board. So just like that, I'll know where those lines intersect. That's where I need to pre-drill my holes. Definitely forgot to hit record, but I put those into 3 pieces. One there, one right here. So, oh, that's still clamped in there. Yeah, now that I have this cut out, I'm gonna get those holes drilled and then get them on there. I have these like wide head screws that I'm using. Because on those brackets, there's like a wider spot where the screw can kind of slide into and then slide down into a thinner spot, and then you can tighten up the screws. So it's a good design, makes it easy to install. So I'm just gonna put these like halfway into the board. So that I'm able to slide them into the brackets. All right, let's get that first one up and see how it looks. There we go. All right, that took some shimmying for sure, but I'm gonna tighten those up. It is really close to this edge, but if I measured correctly, it should go on just fine. Beautiful. That was so satisfying. Looks lined up nicely. Nice. The angle on that isn't quite as much as I wanted it to be, but it'll work fine. Especially because you won't be standing in this area, you'll be like sitting on the bed. So reaching in there should be great, but love that. I'm super happy with those hinges, and it holds it up just fine. Like, that's not gonna fall. That's just me pushing on it because those springs tighten up. Very nice. So let's get the other two on and I'll show you how they look. I am super happy with how those came out. Beautiful. And these aren't advertised as soft close, but they do close pretty nicely. Like, it's not like the spring is slamming them down, you know? Super happy with that. So I still have some small things that I'm gonna get done with them. Like, we need to do some sanding around the edges, and I might take a router and even do like some designs on them instead of leaving them completely flat. I'm not sure yet, but once I get like the kitchenette and the other cabinet spaces and drawers built, I'll kind of decide on like a design style for everything rather than like just doing the cabinets and then getting to something else and being like, oh, well, I want to do something different. I just want it to all have a very like tied together design, I guess. I don't know a better way to say that, but I want it to not all look random. So anyways, yeah, I am still going to do a little bit of sanding on there. And then I mentioned earlier in the video that this is going to be getting carpeted over, not the top, but just like the actual cabinet itself, and then underneath here, and that'll tie like into the wall. Rather than doing wood, like the ceiling, I'm going to do some paneling on. But yeah, you'll see when we get there. As always, you can check out my Instagram at customoffgrid. It's all just camper projects. And I'll post like some final pictures and updates. You can see where I'm at with this build and with some other projects that I've done. So you can follow me on there. Again, that's at customoffgrid, and I should drop it in the comments too. And I'll also put a link for these hinges in case you're wanting to do something similar, because I am super happy with how those turned out. And I don't even know if I'm gonna put like knobs on there or if I'm gonna do some cutouts, or I don't know yet. But the bulk of it is done. So finishing up this video. Thanks for watching. Keep it out for the next video, and see you soon.